to do a video. We have to do a video. Hi besties. Today, you need to stop procrastinating. Tell them. I heard you've been procrastinating. Yeah, same. So let's talk about it. Anyways, welcome and welcome back. I'm Bria if you're new here. And if you are new here, just so you know, spoiler, we have a good time around here. So hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you'd like to support your Bestie B, you can come follow me on all platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm obviously here. I'm heybriajones everywhere. And your support can look like a like, a comment, a link click, a hug, a prayer. All of that actually helps keep my channels going. So if you like my content, please engage and I will keep bringing you the heat, the fire. Anyways, procrastination, we have got to talk about it. We're gonna go over all the reasons why you actually might be procrastinating, because I personally don't believe in giving you the solution, because the solution is only a band-aid unless you get to the root of the problem. So if you can resonate with one of these points or more, one or more of these points, because baby, I get it. Sometimes we be going through it. If you resonate with those things, you know, okay, I have to get to the root of those problems in order to get past procrastination. Obviously, if procrastination were easy to not do, we would all do it. We would all get shit done, but we're not. There's obviously an underlying reason. I'm not a betting man, but I would say that it has to do with what's going on up here. So let's start out by defining what exactly is procrastination. Procrastination is typically the delay of doing something, completing something, or accomplishing something. It's usually something that you are aware of to some certain degree, and for whatever reason, you are consciously or subconsciously distracting yourself from getting said thing done. Now, why would you want to distract yourself from said thing? There could be so many reasons. One of the most common reasons is fear of failure. I used to work at a big fancy corporate company. If I'm being honest, I was in way over my head. I was working in healthcare. I literally was going to hospitals. I was messing with people's lives. That shit scared me. And I was supposed to be able to speak to all these medical terms, and I didn't go to medical school. I was a psychology major. I want to mess with people's heads, not their bodies. I always felt like I was out of my element. And at this job, I know for a fact, yes, I was the queen of procrastination. Looking back on that situation, I'm more than aware that it was because I was fucking terrified of failing. One failure on my behalf could domino into something much bigger if I didn't give a nurse the proper instructions on how to use the documentation. Who knows what could happen? She could code something wrong, and that could be a big deal in healthcare. So I knew there was a lot of pressure to do my job, but it was very challenging and confusing, and so I often found myself just not doing things and distracting myself. And I think the underlying issue was that I felt like I was gonna fail and that I was a failure. So, you know, why bother? Why try? And I get that that loop is easy to get stuck in. It wasn't usually until the moments where I was under pressure where I had to perform, and I would. But those moments when I had a lot of time and I was like, oh, I'll put it off. It was easier for me to do that than confront how afraid I was of not doing things right. On the other side of procrastination, the perfectionist mindset, where these people view success as black and white, all or nothing. So either they're gonna be amazing at something or they're not gonna do anything. To be honest with you, of all the things we're talking about today, I feel like this is one of the more dangerous ones, because if you can't be willing to make mistakes, that's going to really stop you from achieving a lot of things, because the reality of the situation is you will never be perfect. So if you're striving for perfectionism, you've already lost the game. I always talk about how the more comfortable you can get with failure and making mistakes and messing up, the better things will go for you, because you're not expecting to get it on the first try, maybe not even the second or third, but now you've given yourself the permission to at least try something and see what happens. But with a perfectionist mindset, a lot of people that think that way aren't even going to make the effort because they're so afraid that it's not going to be done right. And chances are it's not on your first time. But do you think that all the greats were perfect from the jump? And even thinking about like some of the most influential, iconic people, even they have made mistakes. Beyonce has made mistakes. So has Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Amazing, I can't think of anyone else right now. Amazing people have messed up in order to get where they are or were. They didn't wake up with the tools and the skills. They gave themselves permission to become the expert. And that's what you have to learn how to enjoy. You have to learn to enjoy the journey. You have to learn to fall in love with the process of things instead of just always thinking you're gonna hop, skip, and jump to the end goal. Like, that's not gonna happen. So in high school, I was notorious for being the princess of procrastination. Yes. And I often found that it was actually not just because I was stupid or dumb. I was literally bored. I was not motivated nor interested in some of the things that I was learning about. Now that is not an excuse, okay? I get that. But when I was 15 or 16, I didn't really know that it was boredom. Or maybe I did. No, I probably knew it was boredom. Okay, I probably knew it was boredom, but I didn't really understand that that wasn't a valid excuse. So in high school, I would definitely put things off to the last minute, like many teenagers probably do. And then I would find myself trying to beat the clock. You know, every time I would make it just by a hair. But I realized that what that was doing was stopping me from performing even better. So when you sloppily throw a project together, you know it's not gonna come out as amazing as it could have if you would have given yourself the extra week that you had. The thing is, we know these things. It's not like this is some shocker or surprise to you. It's a matter of being able to call yourself out in those moments and pick yourself up and get your shit together. Sometimes we have to tough love ourselves. And there were many moments when I had to learn how to do that because life is not about always doing whatever you want to do. I really feel like I started to learn this in college because the procrastination caught up with my GPA. I was not killing it. It was scary, it was bad. I had like a 2 point something. Yeah, if you've ever had a 2 point something or lower, I'm not shading you. When I realized, okay, I'm a freshman, I can turn this around, I need to turn it around, I got my shit together. I hated studying. There were a million and one things I would rather be doing, but I forced myself to figure out a regimen, a routine where I would enjoy studying. So for example, if I was being honest with myself, I couldn't study in my room because my room had my bed, and if I got in bed and started to study, I would inch my way back until I was horizontal, binge watching Netflix. So I started going to the library. Hated the library. Had a weird smell, the lighting was off, like everything about it sucked, but there were no distractions. But since I hated the library, what I did was I made it more enjoyable by bringing along things that would make me want to stay. So I'd always have some fire ass snacks. I would invite like a friend or two that wouldn't distract me. I would also invite friends that I knew had good GPAs because I'm like attracts like, you guys. So if you're doing better than me, I want to hang out with you. I don't want to be anyone's best in the room, especially when I'm not killing it. So hanging out with people who were doing really good, it worked, you guys. I had my snacks, I had my friends who wouldn't distract me, and I would just give myself that amount of time to study. And what do you know? I graduated on the dean's list, you guys. I am living proof that you can turn the situation around if you're willing to be honest with yourself. And I finally got honest with myself because what did it for me was realizing how much money college was costing myself and my family, and I was being gifted an opportunity, the first in my family to finish college. That's huge. And I was sitting here wasting it away in the basement of some frat party. Ew. Disgusting, actually. Accountability is everything, and I think part of getting out of procrastination is also realizing the opportunity at hand, shifting your perspective at the situation and being like, wow, anyone could be given this opportunity, and here's what I'm doing with it right now. The fuck? Procrastination can also be a reflection of having poor time management skills. So sometimes we need to sit down and honestly look at the allotted time we have in a day. Some people just wake up and operate on vibes, and like, I love that for you, but if it's not working for you, then stop. We can't always operate on vibes. I am the kind of person that has to look at my day, and my to-do list literally has time blocks. Usually the night before, I will write out everything that I need to do the next day. because it helps me sleep. And from there, I will say, okay, at this time I want to be doing this. At this time I want to be doing this. It doesn't have to be like perfectly accurate, but it's just nice to kind of keep yourself on track during the day. That helped me drastically, especially being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. I don't have anyone that's going to hold my hand. I don't have anyone who's going to be like, hey Bria, it's time for your snack. Nobody's coming to my rescue, okay? If I want my business to stay afloat, it's on me to do that, and that's it. And when things aren't going the way I want to, I only got one person who's on this YouTube channel to look at. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. So you have to get organized. You have to look at the time you have during the day and get strategic. We just have to figure out what works for us. You can't just let things slip through the crack. Sometimes if I have a really busy day, you guys, I put alarms on for every single thing because I'll get caught up in making videos and then I'm like, oh, I need to jump on the Zoom meeting. So you gotta do what you gotta do. One of these days, we gonna get our assistants though. They could be like, they can help us out. But for now, you need to help yourself. So on that note of getting better with time blocks, this is kind of the segue into also learning how to have structure in general in your life. The lack of structure is going to make everything much more difficult for you. In this case, procrastination might not even be something that you're doing on purpose, but that's why I said in the beginning of this video that it can be done consciously or unconsciously. Because when you have a lack of structure, you're going to miss deadlines, you're gonna miss due dates, you're gonna miss meetings, you're gonna miss a lot of things because you're not organized. Organization is really, really important. And one of the first things you need to nail down so that procrastination isn't happening purposely or not on purpose, but you have to build that structure and figure out what that looks like for you. If you need to ask someone for help with that, like so many of my creative friends have personal assistants. I myself have had personal assistants and I am hiring. If you want to apply, you can click the link in my description. It does have to be in person though. But yeah, so many of my creative friends have personal assistants because one thing I can tell you about creative people is structure is not the priority at all. Creative people have this one side of the brain I feel like they think with, and sometimes organization is just not a priority. Timelines don't exist with some creatives. So in those cases, that's okay, but there has to be accountability to say, that's not my strength. Organizing things, scheduling, that's not my strength. And then they bring in someone to help them. Now I know we can't all have a personal assistant, but that's why I'm saying we all have to figure out what's gonna work for us because it's going to make your life harder to not have that organization. I think the most obvious thing about procrastination is that it can be rooted in anxiety and overwhelm. I wanna be careful with this point because we all experience a very different level of anxiety and overwhelm. At the start of this year, I was very open with you guys that anxiety was a really big problem for me. In the last 2 years, this has been a new thing for me, but prior to that, I did not experience anxiety, you guys. I just was like blindsided by it and it slowly crept into my life and started to debilitate me. So I really empathize with those of you that suffer from that, and I've experienced it at different magnitudes. I've experienced it where I'm having constant panic attacks, and I've also experienced it where it's just this really uncomfortable feeling in my chest all day. So I get it. And I think that you have to be the judge of when it's starting to inhibit your life. The thing about mental health and anxiety, you guys, is it should not be hindering your life and your lifestyle. You guys know I'm medicated and the meds are medding. And now that the meds are medding, I feel like I can see things so much clearer. And it's like I almost forgot what it was like to operate without anxiety. And now I'm seeing how badly I was suffering because I am medicated and I'm doing better. So what I'm saying is, if this is something that is holding you back from work, relationships, doing normal things, you need to talk to a professional. And I'm not saying medication is for everybody, but I am saying that sometimes you need professional help to get out of that. If it is your general on the lower end of anxiety where you can still do normal things, I think that it's worth looking into meditating, looking into journaling, writing down what's really going on in your head and kind of emptying it out, and remembering to put in some good thoughts in your head with affirmations or other positive mechanisms. But the thing is, you cannot let your emotions rule you. One of my clear indicators that anxiety was actually becoming more than just a little problem in my life was when I stopped going places because I was afraid to get in my car. bizarre. That was bizarre. That has never happened to me before. And I thought, this will go away. It's just like a little thing. Months were going by and I was not leaving my house, or I would have to have AJ drive me everywhere. I was afraid to get in my car. I was afraid to do things. I was afraid to be in public. That's a clear sign that you need to go somewhere. You need to talk to somebody, okay? So it's just kind of keeping an eye on where that is. It can look like it's inhibiting your work performance sometimes. Now that my anxiety is in check, the way I show up for work is totally different. And I know that it's been noticeable because even on my TikTok, there are so many comments of people just saying, something is different about you. Your energy is different, or you look so much happier. Like, it's obvious to everyone that I'm not freaking the fuck out all the time now. It is so nice, and you deserve to live a life without that. And sometimes procrastination can be intertwined in that when it's a much bigger issue that needs bigger help. So I don't want to focus too much on telling you how to navigate anxiety. I just want to be a mirror to remind you that there's a point when it's okay to ask for help, and you can ask for help at any of those points. But for you, you have to decide that, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So now that we know what some of the reasons could be for procrastinating, let's get into how we can resolve it. For starters, you need to get clear on your goals. A lot of times procrastination can also be a reflection that you are kind of just moving towards whatever. You don't have a clearly defined purpose or reason behind what you're doing, so you're loosely doing things. Get very clear on what it is you need to do and why you need to do it so that you can hopefully delay any procrastination. This one really helps me, especially if I feel like I have so much going on. You have to prioritize your task. What I like to do, but you don't have to do this, is I like to start with the thing I don't want to do the most. Okay, I put that at the top of my list because it's like, yay, when I get that off, everything else is smooth sailing. It kind of like builds the momentum for the day, and then you can just go. Figure out what priorities you need to put at the top of your to-do list. Sometimes it's gonna have to be based on deadlines and what you actually need to get done. But if you have the opportunity to choose, figure out in what way you want to construct your priority list and your to-dos. For my anxious girlies and boys, keep in mind that those times where you're feeling really overwhelmed, try to dissect the task and break it into smaller pieces. Oftentimes, the task isn't as difficult as we're making it in our head. We just can't see how to start or finish it. So if you can take the task and say, okay, what is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? On paper, you're probably gonna realize it's really not that bad. You were like making it a bigger deal in your head, and you'll be able to fly through that task a little easier. We talked about it. Timing is everything, so you need to create a schedule. This can be loosely done, but for each day of the week, try to envision what is it that you want to do every Monday? What is it that you want to accomplish on Tuesdays? How do you want Wednesdays to look? Go through kind of a mock run of each day visually and write that out so that you have some kind of format that you want to focus on. To give you a better example, when it comes to content creation, I kind of have to do this for myself. Mondays, I really try to put meetings on the calendar if I have them, and of course, block out some time to do YouTube videos. Tuesdays are more of my easygoing days where I'm at the computer editing. So I'll film, and then Tuesdays I'm sitting and I'm editing all those videos that I worked on Monday. Wednesday is for my business errands. So if I need to go meet with somebody, that's when I'll go do it. Or if I need to have any more Zoom meetings, Wednesday's a good day for that. So do you see what I'm saying? Kind of figure out loosely what that looks like for you. It'll help you to not be sitting there at the beginning of the day like, I don't know what to do. Because part of the procrastination thing can sometimes be like an overwhelm on deciding what to even do because you have 1 million things to do. Decide for yourself ahead of time so your future self doesn't feel that decision fatigue and can't make a choice. And the reason I say it's a loosely done schedule is because you don't have to stick to it. It's just a format to kind of help you figure out what it is you can do that day if you're struggling with figuring it out. Eliminate your distractions, you guys. This one takes a lot of accountability because a lot of us know damn well we have our phone, we're sitting there scrolling when we have things to do. This takes ownership and just being like, okay, I need to get serious. I talked about in another video, there's an app called Opal, and you can set difficulty levels. You can create time blocks to where your phone will literally block certain apps so that you can't be distracted. And it works, okay? If you're gonna do it, my suggestion is to do the difficult level because it doesn't allow you to take breaks. I know it's kind of difficult and every now and then you might want like a 5-minute break, but just rip the band-aid off and take ownership and commit. If you're gonna use Opal, like use it. You're not gonna die without scrolling TikTok. You're gonna be fine. Go touch grass. I've also found that I'm able to stop distracting myself when I work and walk on my walking pad. So if you follow me on TikTok, you know I've been raving about walking pads. It's my entire personality now. Don't ever talk shit about walking pad girlies ever again. I will go to war for these girls now. They changed my motherfucking life. And I have no shame about that. But I have been killing it with the productivity because for whatever reason, when I'm on that walking pad, the brain is just braining a little bit more. Like I feel a lot of mental clarity. I feel so much more energized and efficient when I'm walking and working. I don't know what that is, what that's about. But also I can't like jump off the walking pad and go get distracted by starting laundry or, you know, going in the kitchen to cook something that I wasn't even thinking of. You're on the walking pad, you gotta stay there. So I cannot recommend a walking pad enough. Like guys, I'm so serious. It has changed my life. My waist is getting snatched. Not even trying. I'm just getting shit done. You know what I'm saying? So if you need a walking pad suggestion, you can check my Amazon storefront because I've linked the system that I use. It's incredible. Another thing you can do, you guys, and don't knock it till you try it, but reward yourself a little bit, okay? We grew up getting stickers, okay? We grew up getting little treats and rewards. So it's no surprise we respond well to positive reinforcement. And I encourage you to not lose sight of that and continue to reward yourself for the small and big things. Because why not? Okay, life is hard. We deserve a treat every now and then. So whatever your treat is going to be, like for myself, oftentimes I will be like, okay, when I finish this, I get this. So one thing I was doing a lot this summer was I would reward myself by going to the pool, but I had to finish all my work first and then I could go to the pool. So I was like, let me get this shit done because I'm trying to get outside. Figure out what your reward looks like. Could you maybe go meet up with some friends? Could you maybe go to the park today? Could you maybe take your dog to the dog park? I don't know. What other things would bring you joy that maybe don't cost money, but excite you and give you a little bit of a treat and some self-care? And speaking of self-care, you want to ensure that you are taking care of yourself because sometimes procrastination is also just burnout in disguise where you're tired, you're not taking care of yourself, so therefore you're not motivated to do anything. So start there. Eat better, get sleep, move your body, and you know, just try to give yourself a foundation to be able to operate in a better way. And I'm gonna end with this one. I think some of us, if you're like me, you often forget to reflect on the progress you're making. The thing about that is when you're not seeing the progress you're making, it's easy to feel like, what's the point? Why try? So it's easy to procrastinate on something that you don't see improvements on. But sometimes your progress can be very small and it can be these little changes that are happening over time. It's important to keep a log of that in some form or fashion, however you can track your improvement or success, or even just like how you're doing on a personal level. If you can track that in some way and look back, okay, I was here, now I'm here. It's a small change, but hey, we're making change. I do that a lot for myself, especially being in social media. Unfortunately, it's a numbers game. So I do have to keep track of what's happening each month. I've had months where things go down a lot and it's very discouraging, but I've also had months where things go up a lot and it's really encouraging. So you just have to monitor what's happening. But it's always nice to see that even when I feel like I'm not making any progress, that there are small changes happening that create a bigger change. So don't knock that. And when you are able to see those changes in front of you, it's gonna motivate you to keep going and do better. So celebrate the small wins, no matter how small they are. So we're gonna stop procrastinating. Yeah. And I would love to know if you have any hacks for avoiding procrastination. I know it's very hard to do and there are so many reasons behind it, but let me know in the comments if you have any tips and tricks. If you liked this video and it was helpful, leave a thumbs up. And of course, like I said, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys next week.